Okay, so now we are going to talk about how to find that analytical job that you really, really want, how to, what you should include in your resume, in your cover letters, and, how you can prepare in terms of a mock interview for this role in crime analysis. I'm Dawn Reedy from Excellence in Analytics, and we're going to get ready to rock and roll here. So the first thing is first, you want to select the right agency that's right for you, right? So really what you don't want to do is you don't want to just throw spaghetti on a wall and apply to a bunch of different agencies, just hoping that someone's going to hire you. So many analysts do that. That's just not the right approach, because ultimately you're going to end up maybe somewhere that's not going to serve you, that's not going to elevate you to the next level. So what you got to do first is you got to say to yourself, what am I most interested in? Am I most interested in intelligence kind of analysis where I'm studying people and relationships and networks and so forth, right? Am I more interested in strategic planning, looking at lots of data and trying to figure out where should we deploy or what programs should we put in place? Maybe you have a deeper interest in tactical kind of work, investigative work, where you see a robbery series and you want to do some predictions on who hit, who's going to hit again, when they're going to hit, and so forth. So there's lots of different kinds of analysis, operational analysis, and so forth. So you want to get a handle on the type of analysis that you want to be involved in first, okay? And if you're unsure how to do that, go to excellenceinalytics.com, and there's all kinds of resources there for you to help figure out what the heck is out there to begin with in the first place. So the second thing is decide on the type of agency that you want to be starting in or going to as your next step. So you have to ask yourself, is this position going to give me to the next level that I want to be, right? So if you're brand new to analytics, you probably don't want to go to an agency to be the solo analyst. That's going to be a bad flag, right? A big red flag for you, because you're going to be the only analyst at the agency. You're not going to know what you're doing, and they're going to rely on you to build analytical capacity. And that's going to be scary, overwhelming, and you're going to get burnt out. Those kind of roles are really for somebody who's already done the thing at another agency and they're going to bring it to this agency as a solo analyst, right? So if you're brand new, you may be wanting to really look for agencies that have a real-time event center where there's other people there that you can kind of learn from as a beginning stage. Maybe you discover that you really want to get stronger in, say, mapping or in another area of analytics. And so you want to position yourself as like a junior in that analytical environment so that you can elevate and grow up through the ranks, through the analytical ranks, that is. And so, you really want to think about what kind of agency is going to elevate me to that next level. Maybe you are a senior analyst and you're kind of like, all right, I'm done doing the busy, crazy, everyday thing. I really want to go to an agency where I can build the infrastructure, where I can put the people in place to do that. So then you want to be looking for a role that's going to give you some freedom to do some of that. So you got to be specifically looking for exactly what you want to do, the type of agency that you want to work for. Are you interested in more reserved kind of agencies, or are you interested in a fast-paced, go, go, go kind of agency? So really spend the time to think about that before you apply, because if you just apply like throwing spaghetti on that wall, you're probably going to get linked up with something that's overwhelming and confusing. So decide first, right? Then that's really going to narrow in exactly the right jobs for you to be applying for. Do you want to work virtually? Do you want to be with a team of people? What is all that going to feel like? All right. So that's the first thing. So your resume has to really talk about the experience that you have had. So if you don't have a lot of crime analysis experience, what do you want to write about, right? Well, you want to write about the skills and the value that you're going to bring to the table. You want to write about experiences that is going to deliver value to this new place that you are going to be working for. And so when you have a solid resume, you can, you can articulate and you can begin to talk about things that you're going to contribute. So I'll give you an example. So mine at the top, it says professional. It says subject matter expert, best-selling author, keynote speaker, trainer, certified data analyst with success in leadership training, public safety analytics, and the development, integration, and growth of data-driven strategies. This is not an entry-level analyst. intro, right? So this is a professional. This is somebody who's been in the field for 25 years, and this is some of the language. But I'm going to scroll down and share with you. I have my resume in front of me that you can't see, but I'll share with you the next level down, right? So a crime analyst supervisor, lead and manage a crime analysis unit that produce timely and accurate analyses, applicable crime patterns and trend, made strategic planning recommendations regarding manpower, deployment, resource allocation, crime prevention, crime suppression, aiding investigations, and increasing apprehension in case clearances. Actively research and retain private funding if you're actually working with some of the financial people at your agency. If you're just beginning and you've only had one job in crime analysis, then maybe your resume says something like this: specialize in the methodological examination of daily reports to identify timely patterns and trends and strategically influence policy change. All right, so we can get into some of those things, some of that language that you can use, right? So if you're an entry-level person, you want to talk about patterns that you have been around, that you have identified, systems that you have made stronger, right? So even if it's not in the analytical field, those are what some of the things that we'll be looking for when we hire you. If you're looking for a managerial role, you want to talk about the leadership, the instruction, the development of the analytical infrastructure that you have built. In any case, at the very top of your resume, you want to have that professional piece, right? So professional, what you are, what you deliver, what your expertise is in, right? What your experience is in. And we don't want something there that says good at computers, right? You really want to be a subject matter expert in something, whatever that means. And if you're not quite there yet, then that should be a goal of yours, to become a subject matter expert in a particular area. Then you want to list all of your professional experiences in a bulleted kind of way. And then you want to list your education, your certificates, and so forth. So a lot of folks list their education first. And quite honestly, a lot of people don't care if you graduated with some beautiful degree if you can't deliver what they want you to deliver. So I often put the education, the certification, the awards down the bottom. But it is important that you put them in there, right? So if you have been awarded with something, indicate that. If you have gone through CLIA certification, through IACA or ILEA or any other certification, my program, Excellence in Analytics, if you've gone through our crime analysis school, our crime analysis or our leadership school rather. So we have 2 schools. So if you've gone through those things and you've graduated, then put them in there. That's what folks want to see. And then if you have any instructional opportunities, if you've taught at any meetings, if you have delivered any presentations, you want to talk about that, because presentation and delivery of product is so incredibly important in analytics. You got to be able to know how to talk to people, how to talk to chiefs, how to present to different groups. So if you've had any presentation expertise then, or any presentation deliveries, write those down, put those in there. We want to know that. So anything that's going to talk about your patterns that you've identified, anything that's going to talk about your strategic planning, using information to drive decisions, use words like this: data-driven strategies, building analytical infrastructure, methodological examination of patterns and trends, case clearance. These are the kind of words that you want to use. And again, if you're brand new to all of this, then figure out something that you've already done that's somewhat relevant, that you can provide those examples that align with the critical thinking that's needed for an analytical position. Okay, so we talked about what you need to do to prepare, and then the resume, and now your cover letter. Okay, far too many analysts that I work with get this wrong. They have some generic cover letter that's like, I am great, and here's why I am great. All right, so here's how you want your cover letter to look, right? So in the very beginning, you tell them, I am applying for this position of Intel analysts at this location, analyst number ID 57777, found on I don't know, gov.com, right? So whatever it is. And then find out who the chief is. Address it to the chief. Don't say, dear sir. Don't say, dear madam. Don't say, dear whoever it may concern. Like, actually address it to the chief. So know the chief. You learned that in the previous video. Know the chief's name. So you're going to address it to the chief, right? And then, detail what you're applying for, and why you're excited about that. Do your research. You're an analyst. Do your research, right? So go to the website, see what the philosophies are, go back to the first video and see all the things that you want to look at before you apply, right? And so once you find some of those things, build that into your cover letter. For instance, let's say a police agency is really interested in community policing. Let's say they are taking the turn and they're really interested in community policing, and that aligns with the work that you want to do. So let's say all that's happening. So you might say, hey, this looks like a great match. I have a particular interest in your recent efforts around community policing, right? Maybe language it a little bit differently, but I was particularly impressed with your Facebook website that had at least a dozen, messages to the community to really create transparency with what's going on in the community as well as what's going on in the police agency. That's in alignment with my concepts on transparency, and I can definitely continue to serve your agency in that way, right? So the key is to find out what's important to them and plug that into that first paragraph. Then you can say, throughout my experience, throughout my training, throughout my education, my volunteer work, whatever it might be, I feel you can relate something around how you will contribute, how you have these skills, how you have this ambition. And analytics is not just hard skills, right? So you want to make sure that you're talking about any hard skills you have, any computer skills, any analytical skills, right? But also that you're talking about some of the soft skills, relationship building, partnership development, systems and process efficiency strategy development, like things like that are softer skills, like they're harder to articulate. It's not like I know Microsoft Access. It really is, I can help define solutions using information. I can, build partnerships and relationships and all of that stuff. Create the buy-in. Buy-in's a huge topic, right? So, okay, that was cover letter. So we did prepping, resume, cover letter, and the last piece is a mock interview. So practice. Write down the questions that we talked about in that first video, the 3 things that you can continuously talk about on a regular basis. The ISEA, if you go to the International Association of Crime Analysts website, they have some great tools that you can use to prepare for an interview, right? We in Excellence in Analytics, we also do a lot of mock interviews with our clients where we help you feel really confident about what you're saying. But the mock interview piece, you don't want to have it so that you're messing up for the first time in front of them. Mess up in front of your friends, in front of your family, in front of the mirror. Mess up way before you get to that interview. Conduct mock interviews. Set up a team of people, of other analysts you know. What questions would you ask me? Write down a list of questions that someone might ask you and write down the answer to that question. And always, always, always stick to your 3s. Your 3 things that you can always talk about. And if you're wondering what those are, the last video describes them in quite detail, but in general, they are the 3 things that you feel most confident about talking about that you could bring in whatever questions they have, right? So you write them down, almost like a little essay to yourself. You write them down, everything you can possibly talk about that particular topic. For instance, one of the things that I always talk about is efficiency strategies, because I'm really good at creating more efficient processes and procedures, right? I'm really good at assessing methods and seeing where we can make some improvements in terms of automation and so forth. So I know about systems. So I feel really comfortable talking about systems. So if I'm in an interview and they ask me about a system question, right? And I might know the answer, I might not know the answer, but whatever it is, I have a whole category of things to talk about in systems that I could circle back around and create some conversation around, and even create some questions to them around. All right. So today was all about selecting the right agency, knowing what to look for, writing the right resume, the right cover, what language is needed in those, and then those mock interviews. And if you missed the first video is how to prepare, what to do ahead of time. And then hang out with us for some future videos, because we're going to be talking about what you actually physically do in the interview, what to say, how to say it, how to relate, how to shake someone's hand, how to know what to do when you're in an environment, whether it's going to be a full panel or a one-on-one. We're going to walk through everything you need to know about the interview. And then our final piece is going to be everything you need to do after the interview. So stick around, hang out with us. If you like this video, subscribe, share, and thank you for sitting with us today. I appreciate you. We'll see you next time from Excellence in Analytics.